So, have you ever stopped to wonder who's really pulling the strings inside your head? We're about to go behind the scenes and meet the surprising puppet master that's been running the show all along. I mean, it's the big question, right? Are you the one consciously steering the ship, making all the big, rational decisions? Of course we do. It's a really comforting thought, to imagine ourselves as these logical executives sitting in the corner office of our brain, weighing the pros and cons before we make a single move. It just feels right. But what if that's not the whole story? What if the you that you think is in charge is actually getting its marching orders from a much older, much more instinctive part of your brain? Turns out, the reality is way less about spreadsheets and logic and a whole lot more about raw, ancient drives. So let's start with a whole new way of thinking about your conscious mind. Forget about the CEO. A much better metaphor? Think of it as your brain's very own public relations department. And this really lays it out perfectly. See, down in the engine room, you've got the limbic system. That's the powerhouse. It's just generating all these raw urges, hunger, desire, fear. Then it sends a memo upstairs to the conscious mind, the PR department, which immediately drafts a press release explaining why you suddenly decided you needed that piece of cake. It's not really making the decision. It's just a world-class justification machine. And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? Your conscious brain isn't leading the charge. It's more like the person running along at the back of the parade, trying to figure out where everyone is going after the march has already started. So, okay, how does this powerhouse system actually take control, especially when things get serious? Well, it uses this incredibly clever and super fast biological loophole. It's called the subcortical short circuit. And for that, you need to meet the amygdala. This thing is basically your brain's emergency alarm system. It has zero interest in deep thought or careful consideration. Its one and only job is to keep you alive. And its motto is absolutely 100% shoot first, ask questions later. So here's how that works in real life. Imagine you're walking and you spot a coiled shape on the path. Before you even consciously register what it is, your amygdala is screaming, "Sneak." It mashes the big red panic button, completely bypasses your slow, logical brain, and sends a direct order to your missiles to jump back. It's only after you're safely out of the way that the signal finally trickles up to your conscious brain, which then calmly says, "Oh, false alarm, it's just a garden hose." Your body literally moved before your brain knew why. Wild, right? Okay, so the amygdala handles the emergencies. But what about all the stuff we do every single day without even thinking about it? Well, for that, we have to meet the architects of habit. This is the basal ganglia. Look, if the limbic system is the engine that's generating the want, then you can think of the basal ganglia as the transmission that actually puts the car into gear. It's the master coordinator. It takes the urges from your emotional brain and the rough plans from your thinking brain, and it translates them into actual physical movement. The basal ganglia perform this kind of magic. Think back to when you were learning to ride a bike. You had to consciously think about every little movement, right? It was clumsy, it was hard. The basal ganglia are what take that whole complicated sequence and burn it into the smooth, automatic program. They're what turn conscious effort into unconscious habit, which frees up your mind to worry about other things, like not hitting a tree. And what's the fuel for this whole process? Dopamine. But here's the thing. It's not just a feel-good chemical. It's much more of a go-get-it chemical. It's the spark that tells the basal ganglia, yes, do that thing again. That's the one that leads to something good. It's the very chemistry of motivation. And maybe the best way to really appreciate how amazing and vital all this hidden machinery is to see what happens when it breaks down. The results can be absolutely devastating. This is just fascinating because it shows you two sides of the exact same broken coin. With Parkinson's, there isn't enough dopamine, so the basal ganglia's filter gets stuck in the off position. The person wants to move, but the go signal just can't get through. But with Huntington's, the filter basically disappears altogether, and you get this flood of unwanted, uncontrolled movements. It's such a powerful reminder of how this one system is responsible for both starting and stopping our actions. And it's not just about physical movement. In OCD, that communication loop between the different parts of the brain gets jammed. The checker part of your brain sends a worry signal. The doer, our friend the basal ganglia, performs an action to try and fix it, but the all-clear signal never makes it back. The system gets stuck in this horrible loop, forcing the person to repeat the action again and again. It's a biological glitch, not a flaw in their character. So we've seen this incredible machinery at work, and we've seen how it can glitch. But what does all of this mean for us, just living our day-to-day lives? Well, it means that this same automatic system is talking for us all the time. Long before you even open your mouth, your body is already telling your story. Have you ever tried to force a smile when you're feeling really down? It just never looks right, does it? That's because our real, genuine emotional expressions are controlled by this same subcortical machinery. The basal ganglia are wired directly into that emotional limbic system. So your true feelings, they just leak out through your posture, your facial muscles, your tone of voice, way before your conscious PR department can cook up a different story. Okay, let's wrap this all up. What's the takeaway here? Well, first, our urges often show up way before our conscious reasons for them do. Second, a huge chunk of our day is run by these complex habit programs on complete autopilot. Third, our bodies are often way more honest than our words. And finally, all of this hidden subcortical machinery, it's not just part of you, it is the very foundation of who you are and what you do. And this, right here, is the most important point of all. Knowing that you aren't always the rational captain of your own soul. That doesn't make you any less human. It doesn't get rid of free will. What it does is give us this much deeper kind of awe-inspiring appreciation for the incredible biological engineering that makes every single one of our thoughts and feelings and actions even possible. It's not a bug in the system, it's the feature that explains us.